Ricky Lambert here with you on the morning show, and certainly you are going to be covered in sunshine across our broadcast family on Flow in New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia across the coming weekend. Lovely sunny weather ahead for you. Well, I wanted to pick up on some comments from the Prime Minister that were recorded by Latika Burke on the Sydney Morning Herald website. I wanted to share some quotes from the Prime Minister, what he told an audience. It was a group that had gathered to support the United Israel Appeal New South Wales, fundraising for that cause. But the comments the Prime Minister made at that dinner I thought were particularly worth bringing to you today. The Prime Minister was speaking about the negative public conversation that often happens in the public sphere and online, and he said these things. I would argue that we must protect against the forces that would undermine community. And I don't just mean the social and moral corrosion caused by the misuse of social media and the abuse that occurs there. The PM said it also includes the growing tendency to commodify human beings through identity politics. You are more than the things others try to identify you by in this age of identity politics. You are more than your gender, your sexuality, your race, your ethnicity, your religion, your language group, or your age. Mr Morrison also said that reducing ourselves to attributes or dividing along those lines made us lose sight of who we are as individuals. Well, to that I say a hearty hear, but you might be thinking, well, what is this identity politics and why on earth is the Prime Minister even talking about it? I dare say that there'll be some people in the media world losing their minds about this and why the Prime Minister's even talking about it. And there were some references in the article by Latika Burke to the Prime Minister's Christian faith and the recent media storm around his attendance at a Pentecostal pastors' meeting. So this business of identity politics, it means many things to many people, but here's how I'll summarise it for you. There's an idea now growing in the not just political arena, but academically and all over society that you only have an important contribution to make when it comes to public debate or even your work if you tick a particular box, a particular attribute like those attributes that the Prime Minister listed in his speech, whether it's gender or sexuality or race. Additionally, it means that your views carry more weight in the era of identity politics if you tick one of those attributes. But furthermore, it suggests that if you don't have any of those attributes that you can tick, if you aren't someone who can identify with a particular one of those characteristics, and let's note on the subject of gender, now it seems not to matter what your biology is, it's what you identify with. If you don't tick any of those boxes, then your view is somehow of lesser value. And that brings me to a little story that we've posted on Flow News 24 that came up overnight from the United States. US President Joe Biden's administration has created a new loan forgiveness scheme worth an Australian amount of $5.1 billion. So this scheme is designed to help socially disadvantaged farmers who identify with these characteristics. You're African American, you're American Indian, you're Hispanic, you're from an Alaskan Indigenous background, you're Asian American, or you're a Pacific Islander. And so a group of farmers who don't tick any of those boxes, which some media outlets would call them white, but they have been told, well, sorry folks, you don't qualify for this scheme. They're not taking that lying down. They think they could do with some loan forgiveness as well, and these plaintiffs from Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota and Ohio are suing. They're suing the Biden administration for racial discrimination. It's fair to say that the liberal side of politics, the small L liberal, this is what's represented by the Democrats in America, and the Labor side, and particularly the Green side of politics in Australia, are people who promote this idea of identity politics, and that's why you're seeing a Biden administration pushing this kind of targeted scheme to support their preferred identities. It's going to be interesting to see how that case plays out, but also how much the media lose their minds over Prime Minister Morrison's speech overnight, and just where this identity politics debate goes in Australia.